Good evening, everyone. Running a minute behind, so we're going to give just a second to let everybody log in. And if you are logging in, I forgot to hit post on the front page of the website. And so I just now updated it like 12 seconds ago. And so we'll be talking momentarily here about whether you have the right sheet music or not. I was working on the website, got focused in on some sheet music, and all of a sudden here I am with a completely different plan than the website said, because I never finished hitting one button. So tonight, having now hit the button, we're going to talk about My Spaghetti Monster. We're going to play that from last week. And then this week we're going to do Three Blind Mice. Important reminder, I don't care if you learn to play Three Blind Mice. I care if we learn the skills behind Three Blind Mice. And so we'll be talking about rest stroke tonight. And then Book 2, we finish up Happy Birthday Blinky style. That's Happy Birthday in 4/4 time. Vive La Companie, we introduced last week, so we'll take a look at that a little more deeply this week, see how it's going. And then we're going to start our Celtic music. That's one of the things that's really nice out of Book 2. That's probably my favorite section out of Book 2 is the Celtic music, which it really means Irish and Scottish and a little bit of English, a little bit of Welsh, whatever we could do to... I guess you call it, I don't know, you call it nice, lovely, old-fashioned tunes from across the pond. All right, there's that. All right, so let's take just a moment to just review how things work here. In each of the lessons, there's a skill set to be learned. The song itself is really irrelevant. We're working on the skill set to make sure that you can play ukulele at the highest level. And in order to play ukulele at the highest level, you have to have the skill set. And the fastest and easiest way to get those to you is by giving you relatively simple songs, and then really digging into whatever skills we need to. So, for example, Frere Jacques, I don't care if you can play Frere Jacques or not, but there's about 7 different skills on that one sheet of paper that we have to have in order to progress effectively, and so on. So, Three Blind Mice, it really comes down to one single skill that's pretty important. And if you don't get that skill, you're going to have a harder time getting the music that you want to make when you get to a good song out of your instrument. So let's see, I'm wearing my Ukulele Fight Club hat, and I have added in some sound batting here behind me so that the sound will stop bouncing around in here, and hopefully sound better at your house. And the only weird thing is I can't quite figure out the lighting in here now, because this used to have this was white and now it's black, and it messes up the lighting. And so I'll be working on that over the next week and see if I can't figure something out. The lighting that I was using was blasting straight into my face, and it took this weird pink glow of my face and turned it into kind of this horror film look with when you hold the flashlight under your chin. Yeah, so that's that. All right, now we're going to be talking about My Spaghetti Monster, so pull that up first. And let's make sure that we've gone over, and we'll play it on both ukulele and baritone, and make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Charlie Roger, Book 1, My Spaghetti Monster. Now, again, My Spaghetti Monster is one of these songs that I ask you to memorize. And the reason I ask you to memorize it is because you want to have one song in your repertoire memorized that makes you sound good, that when you go to somebody's house or the music store and you see an unsupervised ukulele, you're like, ooh, I'm going to play this. And you're going to play it, and they're going to be like, wow, you're really good. And so that's what this piece of music is for. And so reviewing a few things from it. The first thing is we're going to be working in the key of C, okay? But these chords that are on here are this is a chord, this is a chord, this is a chord, and this is the chord, right, on the second string. Okay, they all have these ridiculous names from music theory, and I don't want you to spend a whole lot of time worrying about what those are. At the end of the day, it's basically all a C chord, okay? And so when you get to this one, it's really a G chord with a C in the bass. And what that tends to do is make it sound halfway between a G and a C. And if you just play a C chord, you're fine. But we're not going to play it that way anyway. Throw the chords out. Who cares? We're going to be playing it one note at a time. Let's play the melody first on your ukulele. Just the melody. And that's the second line down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 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 3, 3. Oh, 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 2, 2. Oh, 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 2, 3. Bunny hop. 3. 1, oh, 2, oh, 3, 3. 1, oh, 2, oh, 3, 3. 1, oh, 2, 3, 3. So that's the melody, right? And now we're going to add in strategic locations, we're just going to do a thumb down over any other strings that we're not playing. Okay? The important moment in this song is in measure 8 when it says 0, 0, 3. Your thumb has to stop and rest like it's on a hammock on that first string. So just make sure that you don't do this, right? And throw your thumb way out. That's never ever going to make a positive impact in your life, right? So because what's going to happen is you're probably going to still hit the first string, and then it's going to sound terrible, and the last string that you hit is going to sound terrible. So don't do that. So let your thumb come down and bonk, okay? And if it's helpful, you can stick your pinky finger underneath the crook of your ukulele. In classical guitar, we ask you not to anchor your fingers. In ukulele, anchoring underneath this spot is very common. And so just make sure your hand doesn't go anywhere where it's not supposed to. The challenge with anchoring is that your pinky, it will kind of limit the motion on these other fingers. And so generally speaking, I'd rather not have you anchor, but for strumming, maybe sometimes you'll see me all the time grabbing the ukulele up here, just because I can and because it's not going to hurt anything sound-wise. But ideally, the less you touch the soundboard and the less you're holding on the instrument, the more options and flexibility and tone that you're going to get out of your hand. So keep that in mind as you're going through it. All right, now let's so when we get to measure 2, remember we're going to strum everybody down. Then we get to measure 4, we're going to strum everybody down, but we're going to put a 2 on over here. Okay, and measure 6, you're strumming everybody open, and then at 7 you get to just walk it back up. The 2, then the 3, and then the all-important 0, 0, 3 with your thumb resting. Okay, and then at measure 10, same thing. And measure 12, the same thing. Okay, and then at measure 14, your ring finger is going to drop down and play the bottom string. Okay, so that's what we're after. Play the whole thing with your thumb. Okay, those of you with some experience are going to be practicing with your claw, but when you're new and you're legit in book 1, I don't want you to worry about that stuff. I want you to play this with your thumb because it'll sound cool. Okay, from the top, start with all zeros, and then we'll do this is C chord strum here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 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 strum, strum. Oh, 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 2, strum, strum. Oh, 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 oh. Everybody open. Hit the 2, hit the 3, bunny hop. 2, 3, 4. Little strum here again. 1, oh, 2, oh. 1, oh, 2, 3. Bunny hop. And then everybody. Isn't that nice. It's a lovely piece. It's a lovely song to memorize right off the bat, so that when you you go, when somebody says, "Hey, I hear you're taking ukulele lessons. Play something for me." You play them this, right? Because it's not super hard. It's going to make you sound good. It's got chord melody arrangement, so you're playing some melody and some chords, and you're doing it all together at the same time, and it's going to be so much more enjoyable for your audience than my spaghetti monster playing ukulele, flying through the rainbows with my heart. That's how normal ukulele players would do that, and I don't want us to do that, right? I think that there's a place for that, but it's in the past. Okay? All right, so now let's play it one more time together. I'm going to actually sing the words just because the words are so amazingly perfect. From the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. My spaghetti monster playing ukulele, flying through the rainbows with my heart. 2, 3, 4. Tasty marinara, yummy parmesan, we're Pastafarians. Best song ever written, right? Probably don't sing that for people. Just play the tablature just like it's written, and you'll end up with a really nice song. So, first thing you had to memorize was the notes to Frere Jacques. Second thing you have to memorize is My Spaghetti Monster. Okay, there's only 2 other things I'm going to ask you to memorize in the entire book 1. Okay, one of them is essential for anything you do in music, and the other is Happy Birthday, right? Just the chords. You don't need to know the whole song. And I'll tell you when we get there, I'll tell you the embarrassing, I think, story that I was in the midst of when we were playing Happy Birthday one time. All right. That's Spaghetti Monster. Okay, so we move on from that, and now we're going to be taking a look at Three Blind Mice. Again, Three Blind Mice is not a song that I care about nor you care about. Oh, I should probably play that My Spaghetti Monster on baritone. Let me grab the baritone real quick. I'm sorry. Back up. Okay. Spaghetti Monster on baritone. Okay. If you have a ukulele sitting in your lap, just strum a G chord. Okay? Index, middle, and ring. Just strum that. Bum, dum, 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 dum. Okay? Okay, here we go. From the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sounds lovely in the key of G as well, right? Okay, now let's jump up to Three Blind Mice. I'm only going to spend a minute or two talking about it because it's the same thing that we worked on in Spaghetti Monster, but now it's every single note. Okay, so I'm going to teach it on ukulele style, and then baritones, you have the exact same thing, only you're in the key of G rather than the key of C. Okay? Ponk. All right, now, Three Blind Mice. At this point, I'm hoping that you can play the straight line melody. So let's do that. Okay, 0, 2, 0. 1, 2, ready, play. Oh, 2, oh. Oh, 2, oh. Everything's on the second string here. 3, 1, 1, oh. Same thing. 3, 1, 1, oh. Now go to the 3, 3, bunny hop. 3, 3, 2, oh, 2, 3, bunny hop. 3, bunny hop back. 3, 3, 3, 2, oh, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, oh, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 1, oh, and 2, and oh. Okay, so that's the melody. If you were used to singing 3 Blind Mice, that second part, you tend to do it at double that speed. They all went after the farmer's wife to cut off the tail of the calf, and have you ever seen such a sight in your life as 3 blind mice? Okay, and you don't want to do that when you're playing, when you're learning this skill. Go nice and slow, play it all with eighth notes and quarter notes, and be very slow and boring, because we have a skill that we just learned, and we're going to dial it in here. Okay, so the first, take a look at the tough uke line. The first thing that you're supposed to play is 0, 0, 0. So thumb down for 3 strings open. Okay, again, make sure your thumb is resting on the string you're not going to play. Okay, what that does is it makes that second string kind of jump out, and that's where the melody is going to be, and it's going to make it easier to hear the melody around all this other stuff. Okay, the next 2 notes are a 0 and a 2 stacked up. So we're going to play this string open, and the third string has a 2 on it. Okay, rest stroke here, and then 0, 0, same strings, just not going to hold anything down over here. Okay, rest stroke, same thing on the next measure. All those rest strokes are doing is making sure that the melody note rings out just a little bit louder than the rest of it. And when we're talking about fingerstyle or getting the melody out, we always have to be aware of where the melody is on the instrument and making sure that that string gets hit a little louder and a little clearer than all of the accompaniment around it. I use a method written by an Argentinian composer for guitar, and he has a etude after etude after etude after etude is working on this very exact thing, making sure that the melody is just a little bit louder than the surrounding accompaniment. And with the way he teaches, he's not using a thumb down method, he's using this claw method throughout, and so there is a lot more finessing you have to do with this system. Just bring it down and it'll work great. 90% of the arrangements on the website are going to work that way. It's not that we're not going to do this, because we are, but in the beginning, it's much easier to do this with your thumb, right? Get your thumb doing the thing that it needs to do, and then and that melody will jump out, and your audience will be like, oh, I see, I know what's going on. If you go to measure 3, we have 3, 1, 1, 0, and they're all 3 string strums, right? So let's do that. Go. Strum, switch to 1, strum, strum, and then all 0. And every single time my thumb is resting on the first string. Measure 8 is measure 4 is a whole lot like measure 3. Go. And we have to go back to the 3 at the end of that. Okay. Every one of those strums, thumb rests. Okay. Now look at what happens at 5. Your thumb's going to play all the way through everything. So just as you're coming down, make sure to hit that first string clean, because that's where the melody's sitting. Okay, and let's just go for a while. You're going to know what to do now from here out. Okay, so off the 3. Again, switch to the 2. Open. Back to the 2. 3. And then bunny hop. And then rest stroke. Rest stroke. Rest stroke. Jump to the 4th string. Bunny hop. Rest stroke. Rest stroke. There's the 1. All open. 0, 2. And 0, 0. Okay, so again, baritone is exactly the same as that. It's just a different chord comes out, but our goal is the same. That's the only thing that we really want you to get comfy with on this sheet of paper is thumb stopping on the string you are not going to play. Okay, if you're going to play all 4 strings, then obviously it comes off the bottom, making sure we hit that first string nice and clean and loud. Otherwise, just dragging it down, bam, and then you're there. Okay, so that skill set is what matters. 3 Blind Mice does not matter. Okay, the business of rest stroking your thumb in the proper places and making sure the melody rises up above. There's a whole lot of zeros in here that are busy ringing out and making a bunch of noise, and you need the things that are on top of those zeros to be just a little louder and a little more obvious, so that your audience is like, oh yeah, I know that song. Okay, even if they don't know the song, they'll know there is a song there. Otherwise, it's just blah, blah, blah. I mean, if you think about a strummer, here's what they got. For the whole entire song. You don't know what they're playing. You don't know. Okay? They got to sing, right? All of a sudden, you should be taking singing lessons, not ukulele lessons. And for me, that's kind of a big deal, that people often are busy learning their chords and struggling with their chords, and I'm going to learn to play ukulele, when what they really need to do is become a better singer. The chords, they'll figure that out as they go along. That's a minor issue. It's learning to sing well, and so buy a ukulele and then go take singing lessons. Don't do way too many people do. They buy a ukulele, then they realize they've got to sing if they're going to play chords, and then the whole thing is sadness. Whereas if we just learn to play the melody with the ukulele, and then singing is optional. So that's our sort of our basic approach. Not against strumming and singing. It's just make sure that you can play a ukulele for being a ukulele. That's your job this week. This is to get really good at 3 Blind Mice, both on baritone and on ukulele. And add measure, and then you'll be set. So that kind of centers you in on two major topics, right? We're going to be playing chords and melody at the same time, and we're going to be making sure that we rest stroke when it's appropriate, so that the melody jumps out above all of the chords that we're making. Okay? All right. I always, at this point, I always feel like I'm teaching a live class. Questions, comments, or concerns? Yeah. All right. So 3 Blind Mice, ukulele, that's your job this week. We're getting pretty far into the stuff. So if you missed a few lessons, go back and check them out. I'll post them on our video log over on the website to make sure you can quickly and easily find the most recent ones. They're all on YouTube, but YouTube's crazy, so it can get complicated as to where you find stuff. So just make sure that the last 2 lessons, which are really critical to your long-term success, are starting to sink in. Let me just take a peek at what we need to make sure that we're talking about. Book 1. So in book 1, Frere Jacques is critical. If you're not understanding that, then you're not going to be able to progress more quickly. So make sure that that's really plugged in. And then last week, this is Spaghetti Monster, and then this coming week, we're going to have you down in 3 Blind Mice. Next week, it's the week. Brahms Lullaby, lesson number 11. That's a legit piece of music, classical music, and it's going to be super important. It's going to take the chord melody stuff you're learning right now and then just crank it up, right, and turn it into a much more complicated thing. But you've got the skills, you know what you're doing. We're just going to make it sound amazing. Okay, because we're going to be adding in 3 chords into everything. You've only been sort of playing 1 chord so far. So Brahms Lullaby that's when we make you as a fingerstyle ukulele player. The other 2 things are very important. Sorry about that. That's my wife letting the dog out, or I'm Amazon delivering, one of the 2. I don't know what that is. All right, now let's take a look at the book 2 stuff. Okay, so let me pull it up. I don't remember what we did. Happy Birthday, Blinky style. So let's grab that. Even if you're brand new and you're like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, you do know how to play melody. And so we're going to see how close you can get on that. Let me switch this set list for Jolly Roger Book 2. And let's go grab Happy Birthday. Happy Birthday, Blinky style. Okay, if you're on baritone, you can play right along with us. If you're on ukulele, you do whatever you want. If you want to play chords, that's cool. Okay, if you want to play the melody, if you're new, that's what you should do. if you've been around a while, I want you to play the tough uke. And I wouldn't recommend playing arpeggios unless you have other people in the room with you. It's really easy not to be able to do that when you're just playing solo. And then baritone, of course, you've got your melody and your chords there, so you can play. And it says baritone ukulele. What it really is a tough uke version of this, so you can play that at the same time. If you're on baritone and you're new, and you're not sure how to do and you're not that great with tough uke yet, just play the top notes of everything, right? So in this case, 0, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3. Just play those, and that's the melody. The melody will come right out. All right, let's see how we do. We play down to measure 8. We come back to measure 1, and then we play down to measure 7, and we skip measure 8 and play measures 9 and 10. So first time through we play measure 8, second time through we skip measure 8, and the second time through I want you to pay attention. At measure 6 there's a fermata. Happy birthday, dear children. Happy birthday, right? But at that point, the first time through we're going to ignore that it's there. The second time through we're going to make a big deal out of it. Okay? So from the top, I will play the tough uke on the ukulele, and not very fast, so you have a chance for error correction if necessary. From the top, 1, 2, 3. Whoops, sorry. To the top. Forever. Go. Second ending. Okay, so very different version of Happy Birthday than we're going to learn in book 1 stuff. This is book 2, right? So book 2, all the fancy stuff that you learned in book 1, we're throwing the kitchen sink at it here so that it sounds like something different and more interesting than the regular Happy Birthday to you. Right, so that's you're going to be learning the normal Happy Birthday in book 1. When you get to book 2, crank up the difficulty, make it more interesting, make it worth doing, and then bring in all of your other skill set into that. Okay, so Happy Birthday Blinky style, done, moving on. All right, next song that we're going to take out is Vive La Companie. We ran over it last week. Let's make this our only week that we play this. And Vive La Companie ukulele. Okay, I'm gonna play it first on ukulele, play it on baritone, and then we'll move on from it. Okay, because it's a good song and it's got a lot of fun stuff in it, but not as hard as some of the other stuff we have to do. And so we'll knock this out. If you're new, you're playing melody. If you're on baritone, you're playing the chords, but not those grids, right? You're playing baritone grids. And then if you're been around a while, you play the tough uke. Okay. And we remember we count in 2s. It's 6/8 times, so we count in 2s, and you have a pickup note. So before you get to the next one, you want to pick up that note a little bit early, not fast. Okay, 1, 2. Whoops. Keep going. Second ending. Okay, so when I kind of quieted it down there right at the end, Vive La Companie, blah, right? So I probably would put a pianissimo on that, piano, to bring it down kind of soft and sweet. Okay, so hopefully that's making sense to you. If not, you send me an email and say, I don't know what just happened to me. All right, next up is the baritone version of the same song. And, okay, now we're in the G chord. Okay, baritone's G chord. Ukulele players, you've got your regular G chord. You have an A minor. It's going to be right up there. Your D7 on ukulele is either the index and the middle finger on strings 4 and 2. Okay, leave the third and first strings open. Or the more popular one is a bar here with your middle finger right there. That's also a D7. Okay, G, D7, A minor, D7, G, D7, G. Oh, and then way down at measure 10, you've got your regular C chord. Okay, baritone, it looks like this. Ukulele, it looks like that. And you have an E minor at measure 13. On ukulele, that's index, middle, and ring. Okay, and then that's it. That's all the chords. Okay, now why do I always go over that? I don't always go over that. When we're doing book 1 and 2, I go over it usually because I want you as ukulele players to just know your chords, what they look like. As you're in book 2, not in book 1, don't worry about it in book 1, but in book 2, it's a great time to be working on making sure that you can ignore the chord chart because you just know these things cold, right? And so the E minor, bam, that's what it looks like. Who cares what the grid says on the baritone worksheet? I just know it's an E minor. That's my shape on ukulele. Boom, I can do it. Okay, the other thing to do would be just buy a baritone, then you don't have to worry about it. All right, so we're going to play Vive La Companie on baritone, and ukulele players, you are playing the chords. 1, 2, oops, it's in 2, it's in 6, okay? 1, 2. lovely piece of music. And if you take time to read the lyrics, you're like, oh, I like that, right? Very robust feeling to it. And it's from France, so, you know, we like the French. Okay, especially this week, right? Okay, now we've done Vive La Companie. So now let's talk about next week. We're going to get started into our Celtic music, and Ash Grove is going to be the first one. Now, what I remember about Ash Grove is it's pretty hard, so you are going to need to focus in on it this week. And one of the things that happens is people take book one and they think, oh, I kind of know what's going on. And then they get to book two, and there's a whole lot of fiddling that you have to do in book two that you don't run into in book one. And so that's why we got to build those skills solid in book one. So when you get to book two, the stuff we add in, it's new. It's very fiddly. And if you're not pretty solid on your book one stuff, book two can be a little bit of a misery. And even though the songs are way better in book two, the skill set is also much more challenging. Ash Grove is one of these moments. Okay, so if I'm looking at this song and I'm going to teach it on ukulele, and then baritone players, you're exactly the same, just in a different key, of course. Okay, so you're going to be doing this 3, and then you got CC. So I would probably recommend pinky and ring right there, and then sliding up to 7. And now I got to slide up again to 10, and then I got to come back down. Right, so chasing your pinky up the fretboard is never a good idea. Never is a strong word. Rarely a good idea. So what if I did a bar here instead? Hit the 3, then hit this little bar, pinky, and now I've only got to chase it once. Hit the 10, 8, 7. Now bring it all the way back to first position. Now I'm going to bring this bar up to 5, grab this A minor shape that we do all of the time, D minor shape. Okay, do that 5, 7, 7, 7, and then we're going to do 8, 7, 5, 3, and now G7, pinky to get to 3. Phew, C chord, right? Okay, now we're going to go jump all the way to 7. Bring up the middle finger on 5, index finger probably to 3. And then slide it back to 2. Less sliding is good unless you're meaningfully sliding up, right? Now I've only had to slide once. Grab my D minor, A minor for baritone. And then this shape, okay? You're going to come into this shape all the time. You're hanging on to a D minor, A/A minor for baritone. And then the next chord is going to be a G chord. So think about this. Just boom, right? Take these 2 fingers, stretch them out. Don't worry about the bottom. We don't even have to play it in this case. Okay, so that's really nice motion. Just open it up, play those. And then we've got the 3. I'm going to grab my pinky for that. Hit the 2, and then I'm going to go grab that little bar again. Okay, now I've got to repeat here, so I'm going to go back up to number 1. Hit the 3 again. Let's play just that little section. Eight, 7, 5, 3, G7, pinky, 2, C chord, go up to 7, 3, slide to the 2, grab your D minor, G chord, pinky, middle finger, bar. Okay, now you've gone to measure 9. You didn't play measure 8, you skipped that. Little helpful hint. Okay, grab your yellow highlighter and put it at the front of measure 8. While you're there, you'll see a little bullseye looking thing up there. You better put some yellow highlighter on it as well. The reason is when you see that, when you're playing along and you see that yellow highlighter, that means, hey, you better think about this, okay? If you see that coming, you're like, oh, wait, that's the first inning. I don't want to play it this time. I want to play the second inning. You jump down to measure 9. But use your yellow highlighter liberally to remind yourself, hey, here's where you need to go, okay? And I would say, generally speaking, most repeats, you should be putting on some type of highlighter around them, because otherwise when you get to them and you're in a hurry and sometimes you're sight reading because you haven't done enough homework, you want your eyeball to travel more quickly and know certain things that you've done, so you can just sort of bam, there, I did it. And I would say for myself, when I have my final sheet music ready to go, I've usually got it written up pretty good. I got it marked up a lot, just with not with everything, but with just stuff that I need to think about as I'm playing along. And I'm like, oh yeah, I should use my middle finger here. Oh yeah, I got to repeat here. Oh yeah, I got to go back to number whatever, and give myself plenty of opportunity to not have to think. And because I want my brain into how good is the music sounding, how much ukulele-ness am I getting into this, as opposed to, oh shoot, where am I supposed to go now? All right, so we jumped down to 9. Now, look what you got here. You got 7, 8, 10, 7, 8, 10, 12. You're just hanging out on the top of this fretboard. So I don't see anything in those next two measures below 7. So boom, I'm going to get into 7th position. Here's my 5th fret. Here's my 7th fret. My whole hand's up here on the 7th fret. Okay? And that way I do not need to be chasing my pinky around, which is always a failure. Okay? 7, 8, and then my probably my ring on the 10 here. 7, 8, 10, 12. And 12 is pretty comfortable with my pinky now. Look what I got going on here. I got a 7, 8, 10, and 12. All of those are there. And I hit that 12, and now I've got 9. If I read this next mess upside down, it's a 9, 10, 10, 10. Okay, and lots of choices on how best to do that. But in my opinion, I'm going to grab that 9 with my index finger, and I'm going to take these fingers and wrap them all around on the 10s. Isn't that a beautiful chord? Okay, and what that's doing is it's giving me a D minor with the wrong note in the melody. So in the melody, I have a G sound, which is not typically part of a D minor chord. And that's why I end up with this kind of wonky chord shape. Okay. And then I've got to go back to the 8. And then I can just put in a bar on 7. Maybe switch out my finger to something more comfortable. 7, 7, 8. Now I've got to go down to 5. 7, 8, 10. Back to 8. So that whole section there, I've just been hanging out. The first two measures there, I was hanging out on 10. Hanging out on 7. And now I'm hanging out around on 5. You want to drag your whole hand up here, because otherwise, if you're chasing your pinky around, you're going to have a heck of a time. Okay? So now we just finished measure 13, right? Okay, when you see a mess like this, you're looking for the lowest number. Okay, in this case, the lowest number is 4. I'm putting my pinky on that 4. Then I'm figuring everything else out from there. I got a 5, another 5, and a 7. Okay, this shape feels super weird when you first do it, but remember, you just got your G7 back here, but now we're going to put it on the upper strings. We're going to slide up to the 4th fret, and we're going to add your pinky on at 7. Dominant ukulele, just play. And now I've got some melody. So index finger on 3, 3, 5, 7, 8. Page 2. Back to that same weird shape. Bring your pinky back. Go grab your 3. G7. Okay, this is important. You see what I'm doing? I'm taking this ring finger, hitting that chord, slide it all the way up to 10, 9, And now notice this group of 10s is different than the previous group of 10s because now I'm going to put my bar right on the 10 and my middle finger on the 11. Okay, so I get that G7. And that's a normal, regular, everyday G7. Okay, and I'm sitting there, and that's a big moment. I would turn that into a fermata probably. Okay, now I see 2 3s as I'm hitting a repeat. That repeat goes all the way back to number 1. Okay, so again, pen, 2, whoops, 2, number 1. Okay, DS al coda means desegno al coda. Go to the segno and play to the coda. So when you go back to number 1, you'll see this squiggly S thing up above, right next to measure 1, a big crazy S with 2 dots and a slash. Super fancy way of putting segno. So when you get to that repeat, you're going to go back to measure 1 and you're going to play to the coda. That's the bullseye thing I had you highlight a minute ago at the end of measure 7. Okay, and when we get to measure 7, we always go from one coda to the other coda. The other coda is at 18. So you should also make a note at that coda, third time through, go to number 18. Okay, so when we get here, when we play down to that coda, we're going to switch page, jump over to 18. A lot of this piece of music is to help you get comfortable with repeats, and if you get confused, yay, Gary gave us a little repeat chart up in the upper left-hand corner of the front page. It says repeats, 0 through 8, then 1 through 7, then 9 through 17, then 1 through 7, then 18 to the end. Okay, so if you get confused about where you're supposed to go, that helps you. These days, more and more and more, right into the sheet music, I write to number so-and-so, because I think a lot of times when you're playing, at least when you're learning the song, you're like, oh shoot, where do I go now? And the more help I can give you to get you done with the sheet music and making music, the better it is. Even though the university frowns upon me writing those things onto the sheets of paper because they're not necessary for a qualified musician. Screw that. Our job is to get you through the sheet music and with as least amount of pain as possible, and then you can make music, right? All right, so we got to the end of 17. It's going to jump you back to number 1, and we're going to just play again. But remember, at the end of 17, now you hit 3 twice, and now we're at 1. I'm just going to play down to measure 7. Let's do that. Ready, and play. Okay, there's the coda, and now so we jump, do what it says, jump to number 18. Got your little bar guy here again. Okay, so that, in this case at measure 18, I probably wouldn't put the bar. I'd probably just use my 2 fingers, because then I just have to lift up 1 finger. That's what I would be thinking about there is, hey, everywhere else that bar makes a lot of sense. There at the end, probably not. Ring and pinky. One of the things, too, remember, as a newer learner, you're like, just show me one way to do things and I'll just do it that way. But music doesn't cooperate that way. And so there's going to be multiple ways of doing everything, and we want to be able to feel comfortable doing them all. Would not be a bad idea, those of you who are a little bit more advanced, to be thinking about this as a plucker. So be thinking about that as well. And pluckers, right, most of the time it's all of them together. But if you want to try to sound fancy, give them a little bit of a roll. It's called a rolled chord, right? Same thing. And it's a little different than an arpeggio. Arpeggio is clearly defined. chord is much faster. Okay, and when you're learning and you're first tackling a piece, just treat it as a block chord. Okay, but so here again, when we've talked early on about, hey, this is a technique you're going to want to have, and we did this in lesson 8 on the strumming stuff, right? Sometimes you're going to play this, and sometimes you're going to play this. Well, we've taken this, and we've now turned it into this. We've got this, and that, and all of them have very different feelings, even though the technique is essentially the same. So we use that in bass technique and then fiddle with it just a little bit. All right, Ash Grove is a hard song, so know that it's going to take you a little bit of extra work this week to get this one together. As I'm going through here, I don't see anything I would change in the arrangement, mostly because we're in the key of C, and on baritone you're in the key of G. And so those are places we feel super comfortable with, and I think this gives you a really good taste of book 2, what it's going to be like with some of these very fiddly chords that we have to do. This would be one of the harder ones probably, so don't, if you're looking at it going, I will never be able to play this, don't get too discouraged. It is one of the harder ones. As I'm playing through it, I'm going, gosh, I wish this was easier, because it's a really pretty song. But that happens sometimes. Sometimes the best songs are harder to play than easier songs, but not always, but a lot of times. And the other thing I will mention, the original song is about, get this, an ash grove, and that is kind of right. It's hard to get excited about that kind of music. So I did rewrite the lyrics, and they're very ukulele specific. When I gave this to the harmonica players, I rewrote it so it's harmonica specific, and I don't remember giving it to the guitar players, but if I did, I would just change ukulele for guitar somehow. So the words here are not the original, but they're way better, of course, because they're about a ukulele. So take time to look at that. If you don't know the song at all, go listen to a few versions on YouTube. I think you'll like it, and I think it's a great piece of music. I think 99% sure it's from the Welsh, and its original title was Lwyn On. I think. I don't know how you pronounce that, but anyways, from Wales, which is on, if you were picturing the British Isles, over here is Ireland, over here is England, and as we know, England bad, Ireland good, Scottish crazy people, right? So Scots, British, Ireland. In between the British and the Irish, there's this little thing that sticks out of England, and that's where Wales is. And a lot of great music comes from it. Even still, they have their brogue, the Welsh brogue. And I actually, during the pandemic, had a woman from Wales checking in with us, and she was super fun and would use all kinds of crazy words in chat. So it's actually got kind of a rich history, the Welsh music. And so here you go. You got something kind of fun to there, and a more advanced ukulele piece to get your hands starting to twist around all this stuff. So hope that's fun. Again, if you're book 1, your main focus this week is 3 Blind Mice. Make it sound as 3 Blind Micey as possible, and then Ash Grove will be your second piece to work on, and then next week we'll of course add in new music in there. I think I already told you what's in book 1, coming in book 1. But book 2, we're just going to work our way down I got to change this. This is not good on the website. We're going to work our way down the Celtic music. So after Ash Grove, we get Danny Boy, which Danny Boy has one note that's ridiculous. Otherwise, it's pretty playable. And then we'll go just walk on down those. That's 11 weeks of Celtic music. It's going to be great. It's my favorite section out of book 2, I think. There's some other pretty cool stuff in book 2, but that's that. And then just remember, as you're trying to get ahead, right? If you're having extra time to practice, just again make sure you've gone down every single lesson in book 1 and just come and listen to the me talk about it a little bit, and I think it'll take all of those skills and make them really strong for you. Oh yeah, Brahms Lullaby is coming up. So that's it for tonight. Have a wonderful week. Good to see you guys, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.